Welcome to the Authentic Wife Show. I'm Beth Rolls, a conscious marriage coach and author of The Authentic Wife, Uncaging Yourself Through Marriage. I help driven moms who love their kids more than they hate their marriage use the conflict in their relationship to become their most authentic selves so they can create a relationship and life they don't want to escape from. Stop waiting for your husband to evolve and start making every day feel like a vacation. You can find my book, tons of free resources, and Happily Ever After, the only marriage-saving coaching program, on my website, theauthenticwifeandmom.com. Thanks for joining me today. Let's get started. Andre, I'm so excited to have you here because you can give us that perspective that a lot of my listeners need to hear more about the differences between men and women and how that plays into a relationship. So you have this interesting backstory, and you were just telling me about where you come from in Canada, Quebec City. Then that's fascinating. And you said you knew at 9 that you didn't need to live in a place with winter, and I'm on board with that. So you went to vacation in LA and were scouted to be a dancer, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But now you're in this relationship coaching, among other things. How did you go from there to here?
Oh my goodness. Trying to make that a short story, but we talked about this earlier. Like I felt like I was born in the wrong place in the world, in the snowbank. That was wrong for me. Like just, but it's also the second fold is actually also felt I was born in the wrong family. I was 5 years old when I realized I don't belong here. These are not my people. They don't like me. I don't fit in here. Like it was very strange at 5 to come up with this. Very scary, devastating on some level, because I was alone. In fact, in a family of 7, I was completely alone, and knew that I was going to have to raise myself, take care of myself, defend my. Like, but what happened in that moment, that revelation, is that I became super vigilant and aware of everything around me. So something like my radar went whoop, and started watching the world and people, trying to understand first how the hell is this possible, and second, it sort of became like vigilantly watching people in the world, um, and in that I became fascinated with the human condition. The more different somebody was, the more curious I was, because I was an oddball. I didn't fit anywhere, right? Even when I got to school, I was the isolated one that was odd. I was because I was weird. Because like, how do you function when you don't feel like you belong here? So that was that. So my observing it started at 5, and I've been watching people since then. And when you watch people, when you practice something this long, you start picking stuff up. You define and refine your radar if you want. So that's been my operating system since then. At 23, I started taking personal development workshops, trying to understand what the hell is wrong with me. Another layer, right? Like, because there was something in me that was like, something is very wrong, but you got to work it out. Like there's something beyond, there's something to work through. There's something on the other side of this that kept me from like killing myself, literally. Like it just, so kept pushing and kept pushing, kept pushing, looking for outside help. Personal development. I have never stopped doing personal development. So it took me to, dancing with Michael Jackson and Prince and Paul Abdul and its big masters as I got healthier and build myself, my confidence and my talent. I had a natural talent, which kind of came out of nowhere. It's just a different story. But so to get that level of success, that level of like, oh wow, like okay, so I could put a dent in this life. I can put a dent in this world, right? These are who gets to dance with Michael Jackson and Prince? I mean, coming from Canada in a snowbank. You know what I mean? So that kind of, when I got to that reality, it could open up the channels of possibilities. Life became a different paradigm, and I went from not wanting anything to wanting everything. Like I could do this, right? So then I kept pushing more for what else could I do in this life, and there's always this pulse in my chest of something, bigger. This is bigger. It's dancing with celebrities, okay, but that's not it. Okay, what is it? And then um, got married, and when we have decided to start a family and kids, I was not going to be the guy who's not present. That was my life, right? As a kid, like my parents were not there, so
Mhm.
I was now I got to be the father. So I opened a car business in Los Angeles to keep me grounded. We called it phase two of my life. I
Love
kept dancing, but locally, doing the work locally. But really quickly, within a year or so, the other business took me over, and um, I got to build a life. Bought a house in Los Angeles, had a business, a wife, two kids, like different life, but all a different bunch of goodies. I never thought I was getting married. I never was going to have kids because I was miserable, and all of a sudden I have all of that. Right?
Wow.
So yeah. Uh, so fast forward, personal development the whole time. Business workshop, money workshop, get your shit together workshop. Who the hell am I workshop again? Like another layer, right? Constantly pushing, getting to that whatever that thing that was pushing me. 2006, I'm in Northern California in a business 3-day workshop course. On the plane back, the people that I met, there's a couple I met in the workshop who were all sitting in the same row, which I thought at the time was random. I don't believe that anymore.
Wow.
Um, and the woman says to me, she goes, "What do you do next weekend?" And I go, I'm actually off next weekend." She goes, "You want to come to a workshop? It's on me."
Really?
And of course, I want to go to a workshop, especially if it's on you, because they're expensive as hell, right? They can be thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So I'm comped in, and I go, wait, what's the workshop? I say yes before I even know what it is, and she's like, "Oh, it's called Understanding Women," and I'm like, "Okay." Now you have to understand at the time, because of my artistic ways and my easygoing ways, I've always attracted sweet women like my wife. Like
Mm.
I never did the crazy stuff my friends did, the yelling, the screaming, and I didn't. I just didn't. It was always smooth.
Yeah.
I thought it was me. I couldn't tell you why, but I thought it was me. So I go to the workshop with a little bit of like, ugh, okay, so I'm throwing away my weekend over this, understanding women. You know, by actually the time we're married, for many years, and the kids are small, but they're 3 and 4, I believe, at the time. Not looking for this. We're doing fantastic, right? So I kind of backed into the workshop like, ugh, but I said I would, so I was there, and then I remember walking in the space. It's a big ballroom in a hotel by the airport. And I walked into the space and there's 400 people in there. And all of a sudden went, oh, this isn't cute. Something's going on here. Like I felt it, like there's something big here.
Really?
Yeah, and sure enough, at the end of the workshop, my brain's all over the walls. Like my head exploded. I could not. I realized, and it gives me goosebumps to think about it. It was crazy. My wife says I came home. I was pale. I was so blown away because I realized in that moment in that workshop that I knew nothing about zero about women, absolutely nothing about women. But to
Really?
me, what was more dangerous, I knew nothing about my wife. We have little kids. We're married, right? All my siblings have been married and divorced like 2, 3 times. I have my angel, my baby, my wife. Like with my kid, and I may I don't know anything about her. Why? I don't understand. Like, I kind of had a sense in that workshop, like that she takes everything personally, but I don't know why. And I want to make her wrong for that. Can you just stop? Right? Like that's what we all do. Like I can't tell you anything, right? Oh, this might as well just punch her in the head. You know what I mean? Like we do stuff so differently, we don't understand. So like 7 times in that workshop, I literally slipped off my chair, like going like I can't freaking believe what I'm learning.
Wow.
And it was so my brain, of course, Mr. Learn Everything, was not going to be a statistic because I didn't know. We weren't going to be a statistic because I
Good for
didn't
you.
know. Right. So, but it upset the hell out of me. I came home, I was white. She says, "You were white." So upset because like there was the liability was insane. So, of course, I went into learning everything the company was offering because I'm a teacher. As a dancer, you teach, right? I was teaching my whole life. I became a workshop leader in a minute for them. That was going to be like, this is what I want to do. This is it. This is the pole. This is the thing in my gut my whole life. This was it. And
Interesting.
then that was how it launched. I ended up studying with other masters. So I kept going. Turned out that I didn't want to teach that company after a while. The politics were ridiculous. I don't do ridiculous. I just
Yeah,
no, I'm not doing that.
I get that.
But I kept studying with other masters, John Gray, Mars and Venus, and Shanti Felhan in the South. Um, what's her name? Esther Perel, who's now famous. At the time, she wasn't,
Oh, wow.
right? And like these are the people that and then Dr. Pat Allen, Los Angeles, a therapist, family child marriage therapist for 46 years now, trained one-on-one with her for 3.5 years. So
Wow.
the package, like I could approach this with me, psychologically, physically, chemically, anthropologically, like the whole thing fits together from there. So that's how I got to be here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy that you just I love the synchronicities that you were in the room with those 3 people, and then one invited you to that and was
crazy.
willing to pay for it, and it just sounds like it blew your mind to
I Man,
Oh,
yeah,
man.
it
Huh.
was wild. It was wild. It was wild. It was absolutely. And then looking back, it was not random at all. It was
Yeah.
literally like a fork in the road in my history,
Mm.
and that became, I call it stage three of my life.
Interesting. And I love also, by the way, that you knew from your history that you wanted to do a little bit differently for your child and dove into that. And I appreciate that. So thank you.
Yeah, no, it's funny
I,
because my kids, I have two kids, and his friends, like my son's friends, are always here on the weekend. So my house is full of boys because I'm the place where they can be themselves and we're
yeah.
cool. And then you know, the, how many times did I hear this? And even my friends at one point, like they watch me with the kids and they go like, "Damn, I wish I had a dad like you."
Oh,
And I usually go, "Yeah, me too."
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm like this because by default. So yeah,
Mm.
that was super important to me.
Ah, it's so needed. It's so needed for fathers to be okay with being good, conscious, present fathers and not just providers or whatever
Right.
else. So speaking of that, and I can relate to my mind being blown when I started to learn about men more and like, oh, okay, that's why. And I'm excited to talk about that. But what do you think women do that keeps men from caring for them, from protecting them or wanting to provide for the family? What do
My
we do wrong?
God, that's a great question. Oh Lord, this could take
Mm,
a minute though. So
okay.
bring me back if I go too far. But it's in a culture now. It's the cultural pace since the feminist movement started in the '60s. We've been teaching women you don't need no man. Well, no, in the beginning, it actually was more about, choice. Like, you want to stay at home mom, be a home mom, but now we're going to open the doors for you to go out in the world and do anything you want because
Right.
choice were limited back in the days. Now, by the way, nobody talks about this, but choice were limited for men too. There was
Mm,
no choice. You went to work. And by the way, men still don't have any choice. You go to work.
that's true.
Women had choice. You could stay behind with the kids. You could be a mom. You could have a side career on top of that, right? You have a lot more layers of options if you have a man to support you, and you decide which way you want to live, right? So, no options for women, no options for men, and it's still no option for men. You get to work. You know what I
Or go
mean?
to the army, right? Like
Right? Which is
serve.
like, okay, die for us. That's great.
Yeah.
Like that's okay. No, not
I'll
me.
pass on that.
Right?
Thanks.
But so what I mean. So that movement was good to liberate and give choice, to women, and men really didn't get much as a choice
Mm,
really, except to, become hippies and sensitive and not work, which made them complete losers. And nobody respects a loser. Like nobody, no men, no women. So choice. Okay, that started out a great idea, and then it became this thing about, the patriarchy is the enemy, and women have to fight back because men are keeping them down for millennia. I'm like, providing, protecting, cherishing, and giving to women is a problem. Hold on one second, because that's where the patriarchy is, right? It's men holding themselves responsible to provide and protect women, children, and everything that's smaller or weaker, the planet, animals, right? Like this, men defend, injustice, natural masculine male. Now we have different types of male in our culture. In my world, there's three types of male, which kind of describes what I'm talking about, right? But the typical natural male fights for injustices, will defend everybody who's in trouble. If your car breaks down on the side of the freeway, it's not a woman who's going to pull up; it's going to be a man,
mm,
and behind that man is going to be another man to make sure that man is not a douchebag, right? So that's men. Because men also know there's bad men out there to abuse, take advantage, and hurt, and all that shit, right? Those are in my world they're called boys. So there's
mm.
three different types. So when you throw men under one blanket, men are dangerous. No, boys are dangerous. Man will protect everyone from these douchebags. All right. So that said, right? Know who you're talking about. Know who you're dealing with. Know the difference, right? Like having a penis does not make one. There was a man. All men does not make all men men. So back to our culture, we went. So patriarchy is the enemy. Men become the enemy. So the feminist movement, feminist 3.0, we call it now, is anti-male, anti-man. Men are toxic. Men are dangerous. Can't trust them. They'll screw you. No, those are all boys. Men don't do any of that. But it's easy to go there, right? And so now think about this. If you make half the planet wrong for who they are, here we are. So what women do is, and not their fault, because it's very, very hard to go against I call it the cultural tidal wave.
I was just gonna say wave, yeah.
It's a cultural freaking tidal wave that everybody now for some reason got on the wagon. Men are toxic and all that crap, right? And guys are like, really? Right? So if you're gonna treat me like shit because I have a penis, guess what happens? Men go like this. Fine. Right? Like they give up, they pull out, they like, why in the hell would I get invested or involved in around that energy? So this is what women don't understand. You want men to be men, except you talk shit and you put us down and you disrespect us left, right, and center. We're the enemy. We should be born like women. If men were like women, the world would be a better place. Bullshit, right? Bullshit. Because like to talk about stuff, to be sweet, sensitive, and vulnerable is one thing, and we need some of that. But that doesn't make men do anything. That doesn't empower them. And what we need is men. This entire world was built by man. Everything that you use is invented by man. Everything that is built by man. Air conditionings, walls, cars, dishwashers for you ladies, washing machine for you ladies, right? Like to free you from the burden of life, invented by man. And so, really, men are toxic. Men are dangerous. Men need to go to hell. Men need to step men need to step behind women. This is the big one for me, right? Like the idea that men were in front of women for millennia, and it's unfair because women are suppressed and oppressed. Yes, some. I got it. Ultimately, that wasn't whatever. But now the culture says now women need to step in front of men because men have been in front of women too long. So now men get to fuck off, get step behind, and we go girl, and we take over, and we do it our way, and it's gonna be the right way. It was a disaster, first of all. And it's not about men in front or women in front. It's side by side, partnership, togetherness. Do you know what I mean? It's cooperation. That's what the relationship is. This is what men and women are about. Coming together to cooperate, to create a new life, a new entity, a family. It's not me in front, her in front. That's ridiculous, and that's the problem. So, see, did I just go off? I'm so sorry.
No. What do you say? Because I know a lot of women, I would consider, I'll just speak for myself and for, and then I see this in my clients too, is women who step really into their masculine because they feel they need to take care of themselves because either their parents weren't there or they do end up in kind of a male dominated role and they have to do that to get respect or to step up. Then we start to feel like the men we've attracted are incompetent and we can't rely on them to do anything. Do you think that comes back to just our mindset about them and how we're speaking about them, or is that those?
To me, in my world, it's energy. You know what I mean? So we're both, as men and women, have masculine and feminine energy.
Right.
We both have it. So, but if you overcalibrate in one direction, especially away from your own bodies, so a masculine woman will get shit done. But that repulses masculine men. It's disrespectful to my masculinity. So women can be badass all they want, and they wonder why nobody wants to date them because you keep pulling your balls out.
Right.
I don't want your balls in my face. Nobody wants your balls in my face, right? But women think, oh, I'm strong, independent. Okay, sure, by yourself in your house. You can be all that. I don't want that shit. Right. So that's a huge mistake right there. So you could be all the strong, independent, and powerful. But you got to leave your balls at work because men are not interested in that. If you want a strong man, if you keep walking around with your balls out, you'll attract boys. And boys
Yeah.
are the soft, sweet, sensitive, and the musician typically. Sorry if you're a musician, but that's like that more artistic type, but not necessarily. Like they just want to, chill out on the couch and spoon the dog and smoke a joint. They go, you go, girl, get the promotion, right? So they put you in the masculine role as they're chilling in the feminine role. Now, polarity works. There's still polarity. One's masculine, one's feminine. This is nature, by the way, right? In nature, we have the masculine opposite of feminine, and that's the magnetism. The yin and yang of our bodies, the yin and yang of life. That's nature. Everything in nature that's polarized, everything in nature is polarized, by the way. It's the only thing that works, that expands, that grow, right? That produces yin yang. And
Right.
we think we're gonna neutralize this thing and it's gonna be better because it's more fair. It fails. When you neutralize men and women energetically, they're roommates, they're brothers and sisters, and
Mm,
so a lot of people don't understand that. They go from polarized to depolarized because of the culture of their lifestyle, and then they both end up having affairs because there's no dynamic, there's no energy, there's no pull. So it's not. And again, so in my world, it's energy. Right? If your woman stays stuck in a masculine, she's attracting feminine man. She'll think that's all man, and they get angry and bitter. They don't feel safe. They feel abandoned. They feel lonely. Everything's on them, right? They're resentful. They feel abandoned by life and world. Where are all the man? Well,
yeah.
you get them. You don't get to meet them. The real man would see you and energetically just go, hell no. The good understand that when you're masculine, stuck in your masculine, male, natural masculine male, literally avoid you like the plague. You're
Really.
so fucking irritating. The
Wow.
pace of your voice, the tone of your voice, the handle that you know what I mean, the multi-managing, the talking too much, the coming after everybody, the righteousness. Like so men don't even say hi. They go, whoop, fuck that shit. And you think that's man. And then you attract boys and they take advantage of you. They move into your house, they drive your car because they can't fix a piece of shit, right? They like that you walk in their dogs because they won't, like and but they're sweet and sensitive and they're good in bed and they're like talk, and you think finally I got one who's sweet, and 6 months later you wonder
Mm.
what the fuck happened to your life.
Wow. What do
So
you how do you I always tell my clients, like, you have to create space for their masculine to emerge. If you've already set up this dynamic, you've got to step out of your masculine and get so
yeah.
how would a woman begin to maybe you don't know this necessarily, but what would you tell a woman who's trying to reduce the masculine energy and be more in the feminine?
This is my work. This is all I do every day with
Okay.
my clients. This is all I do,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Because all my clients come in with like, I don't understand. I'm pretty. I have money. I have a car. I have a house. I have an apartment. I'm 38 years old. I'm beautiful. Nobody wants to date me. And if I get a date, I can't get
Mhm.
ghosted. I never get a second date. I go, honey, that's your balls. You
Mm.
act like a dude. You talk like a dude. You think you're tough. You think that's interesting. You show up on a date with, I'm a CEO. I do that kind of money. And my next person, and the guy's like, what the? Men don't care about your money. Men don't care about your career. Men don't care about any of that shit. They don't. I'm sorry to be harsh, but this is where I guess it's such a lemon you've been sold that to be a valuable woman, you have to be productive. No, that's masculine.
Mm.
That's masculine. You don't have to be productive to attract men. You have to be feminine to attract men. That's what men are looking for, the side of them they don't have. Your
Mm.
warmth, your loveliness, your radiance, wow, babe, way to go. You got this, right? To be at his side and to sort of be a beacon of of support the way a man needs to be supported because we both need support and appreciation, but they're both very, very different. Another
Yeah.
layer. So not understanding any of that, thinking that to be, the stuff that you do is interesting to men, it is not. Men are looking for this warm, sensual energy that is feminine. That's what they're looking for. Men work their asses off all day. So is the ladies, but that's why you're stuck in your masculine. You don't know how to change gear. So my clients, they come at me because they finally get that they were sold a huge lemon by their mother, by their culture, by their sisters, by their friends. Go girl, you really know man. And they're like, you know what? I make money and I'm miserable. I have an apartment. I don't care. I'm lonely. I want companionship. I want somebody to kiss me, love me, touch me, adore me. I just want to be a girl. But they have 38 years of training away from that, so they don't know how to do it. Right. So how do you bring a
Mhm.
woman back into her body? That's my work.
Back
Because as
into
you
her body.
bring you back into your body, you get back into your essence as a woman, because to be masculine is to be in your head, to be feminine is to be in your body.
Oh,
So
wow. Okay.
you see it? So men live in their heads. We need you to get us down here. Where you like us the most, we need your feminine energy for that. Not your balls, not your masculine pulse, right? Because what happens is if when you're masculine, you're in your head, I'm in my head, we get on a date, it's dry toast. There's nothing here. If she talks about her money and her success and what she's like, what? Who cares? Who cares? Right now, the boys will be impressed by that because they want to move in and you pay for them. But the man, irritating, irritating.
Did
So you see it?
did you just say that it's hard for a woman to shift gears? Like, so for example, I feel like I do have to be in my masculine to take care of stuff.
Of course,
Uh, just because that's what I have to
it's
do.
part of life, of course.
Okay.
Yeah,
So how do you like
yeah, yeah,
so this is I did a video recently for like Facebook, TikTok Reels, and
yep,
I was giving women tip about how to use like visual imagery to get back into their body.
yep.
And so like it went viral a little bit because so many people are like, what drugs are you on? Why do you have
Oh
to do
wow.
that and stuff? So yeah, how do you
So
shift gears?
I get it. Like I said, it's a matter of lifestyle.
Mhm.
Now, of course, women are women are out there working like men, and the price to pay is your femininity disappears with that,
Yeah.
right? And if you extend yourself, interestingly, what happens that I see as well is the more masculine you are, it's a habit, it's a practice. It started when you're 5 years old. What you can do when you grow up, little girl. We used to ask men that, not anymore. We want men to shut up and we'll probably push the women in front. What are you gonna do when you grow up? Right? How much money are you gonna make? Go ahead and get yourself safe and secure. Don't be dependent on man. Don't be like your mother will say, like, don't be bullshit, right? Like, why do you buy the world's bullshit as opposed to finding your own? You know what I mean? I
Mm,
understand we want to be preemptive and learn from other people's mistakes, but like that's not a mistake. That's sort of like that's sort of like that's toxic. People will tell you, they get stuck in their bullshit and they're trying to spread that around like it's the truth. No, it's their truth. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, so a lot of marriages are very successful. A lot of marriages go on. Like, by the way, 50% divorce rate is a lie. That's not true. It's actually the real number is about 26 to 27%. Interesting. See, again, cultural bullshit lies. So it's trying to scare people into don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, right? And where a lot of people are succeeding because they're smart. They do the work. They research, they study, they learn about men and women. They cross the bridge into the. So it's not that hard. But the longer you've been, and typically women who are stuck in their masculine have some kind of injury in childhood that had them not feel safe as little girls. And when we know this is psychology 101. If a little girl doesn't feel safe as a little girl, she has to man up. And this is the beginning of manning up. And so your feminine side doesn't get developed because it can't. No daddy, bad daddy, abuse of any kind, neglect, whatever it is. And we all have some of that.
Yeah.
But if you have a little too much of that, or if you, again, just no feeling safe as a little girl, you man up and you man up and you handle shit. You're good at business and planning and plotting and logical, linear in your head. Work it out. You'll survive because you have no choice. You're on your own. What happens later on in life, though, is that all catches up because there's a natural instinct in that to protect you and to make you thrive. Except 20, 25 years later, that same mechanism is keeping you from living because
Mm,
you're so masculine, you don't know how to be feminine. You repulse man, you don't know why. You don't know how to be vulnerable. You can't ask for help. You don't know how to let go of control. You manage everything and micromanage everything. You make everybody fucking crazy. Like if you take it all the way, right? My
yes.
sister is one of those. Makes everybody fucking crazy. And she's beautiful. She looks like Meg Ryan, right?
Mm,
Beautiful girl, has money. She's like dressed incredible, but she walks in a room and she creates tension
really?
energetically. A feminine woman walks in a room and warms the whole place up.
Oh, wow.
A masculine woman brings tension in the room. And you
Mm.
wonder why you don't meet men because they're already out the door.
This is
Oh,
good.
I'm sorry, did I just go off? You know what I'm saying? So there's a practicing into getting back into feminine. My point is, There's typically an injury, a trauma, and a manning up for men. Same with the boys, by the way. The boys are injured where they don't have a daddy role model or overly cuddled by their mothers, and they believe that women are here to take care of them, as opposed to them taking care of women. So they're soft and sweet and expect the world to kiss their ass, and they're entitled. Same problem the other way, right? So there's an injury there. You have to handle your shit. You have to fix that stuff. Get back to your essence. If you're a female, right? Recultivate and nurture your feminine. Back, you have it. It's inside you. You're a girl. It's in there. Should just be buried on 30 years of shit. But so that's what I do. My work is I bring women back into their bodies, into the feminine, their energy, open those channels, and they start radiating warmth, which is feminine energy. They know how to be masculine at work, but when they get off of work, they know how to switch. There's a bunch of everybody's got a different way of rituals to do this. And all of a sudden, after work, there's a woman in the world who smiles and is happy and radiating, and men go, hi, as opposed to avoid the hell out of her, right? So it's a practice. It's a practicing and getting back into your essence. I do the same with men. So it's a little bit of work, but it's worth a few months of your life. It's worth a lifetime of really getting the dream life that you want.
Do you think it's hard for men who've been in their feminine to step into the masculine? Or is it easier for them?
It's a little bit more linear. It's a little more obvious on some level, but not really. It's just typically so. And again, my world, three kinds of men, right? They're men, they're guys, and they're boys. So the boys are the ones who know daddy, typically injured as a no over cuddling mother, raised to be feminine and sweet and sensitive, and so I've never seen a boy recover from being a boy.
Really?
Because they think it's cool. They're comfortable. They deserve it. They're entitled, right? And they're manipulative. Those are the cheaters, right? Those are the cheaters, the liars, the scammers. Those are the ones who will abuse women, the children, right? They have no power because they don't have balls. They have no power, but they're still are testosterone driven. So they have that kind of angst about them. And so the lack of power, because they're not developing their manhood, they go and overpower everything that's weaker, typically women and children, and steal. They don't want to work. You're stupid for working, right? But they'll steal it, they'll scam it. Everybody in jail is a girl with a penis. They're all girls. Insecure, don't know who they are, so they try to scare people, trying to make an impact and be relevant, because they're completely irrelevant. They don't do shit. They know it. They're nothing. Men do the opposite. Men go conquer their lives and their career and their character, and they build themselves up. They build the confidence by fighting and pushing. So boys, I've never seen one recover. I'm sure it's possible, if I got him early enough and, get him to see the disaster that he's building for himself and in the world. They're terrible. Those are the narcissists. Those are the killers. I mean, those are guys in the middle. Guys have been shamed about being masculine to the level that men naturally are, but they're masculine enough that they actually have a little job, have a little car, have an apartment with 3 roommates, right? They manage life. They're masculine enough. It's just when it comes to women, they back right off. The good news is I have a men's group, and that's my boys. They're like there. They understand. They understand that they feel small in a lot of ways. They are, but they don't want to be, right? So those are the ones who go. So how do you get to be you, right? And I find all those guys at the gym because I train every day, and they see me pull up my fancy car. And what do you do? I'm a relationship coach. What? How do you do that? How do you know? And so I collect them because they look at me like some kind of role model. I have everything. I have everything. I absolutely have everything. I have everything. The wife, the kids, the money, the cars, the house. I have everything. Right. And they kind of I want some of that. How'd you get there? Right? How'd you get there? With the long hair, looking like freak, dancing. What? Huh? What? You know what I mean? And so, and I become a mentor to them. And so these guys want it. And those, when I teach them what to do, how to go after their fears, how to push for their lives, they just go. It's beautiful in months, not years, months.
Okay.
So, yeah. So guys can change. Men are just men. And you don't. You have a whole different way to deal with them.
All right, so I have a question.
Yes.
I want to take you somewhere else because this is a big problem for all my clients.
Mhm.
Do you think that that kind of angst that you described, or that feeling small that you described, translates to a desperation for sex, or is sex completely unrelated and all men have to have it all the time?
Well, sex is nature. Sex is nature, right? Like we're made to spread our seeds. If you consider it's biology, a woman has in her lifetime 300 to 400 eggs available to fertilize. Right? You have millions, but you lose 10,000 every cycle. There's only one that's any good every cycle. You lose 10,000 every month. I don't know if you knew that, right?
No.
So you have millions of eggs, but there's only 300 to 400 that actually could produce an offspring.
Oh,
Man, in one ejaculate, produce between 250 million to 1.1 billion sperm cells.
wow.
So nature has it that shit's got to be out there, constantly. It's a way of keeping you know, the species going,
Right.
right? You ladies, when you get horny in that cycle of the month, that 1 or 2 days when you're fertile and you have that that pulse of like you just right, you want that. Imagine being like this all the time, every day of your life.
Mm,
That's man. The testosterone, that pulse, there's a pulse to get that thing out. Pressure in my groin all the time to relieve the pressure,
wow.
right? That's why men masturbate so much. This is relieve the pressure. So, like, that's nature. That's animalistic. That's not sexy. That's not necessarily PC in any way, right? But that's nature. So, part of the other, that's the mechanical animal part of it. The human part of it is that for a normal feminine woman, sex is a big deal. For entire history of mankind, sex is actually very dangerous for women because women died, in birthing babies a lot. And if you pick the guy who wasn't going to stick around, right, like cave woman pregnant waddling in the woods is dead.
Right.
It's a liability both in being pregnant and after the pregnancy and even giving birth, right? So women were very, 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 very serious about letting that happen because there's always life changing and life and liability. Now for men is pressure relief, right? But if you go back into that understanding, that instinctual understanding, that for a natural feminine woman, she needs to feel safe to have sex to this day, right? Like a normal woman needs to feel that the guy's a good guy, that he likes her, that he kind of cares for her before she can open up and be that vulnerable. It's a huge, huge vulnerability. And so women who have a
Right.
hard time vulnerability get drunk, so that vulnerability comes from the alcohol, and they interesting, right? And how many women
Mm,
have to get drunk to have fun and have sex like men, and
interesting.
the next day feel like the walk of shame, and you know interesting. Anyway, so normal woman needs to feel connected, feel safe, needs to feel somewhat cherished by a man in order to open up, right? So you need to feel safe to open up, right? So you need to be connected to your feeling. You have to feel right to open up. Are you ready? Men, because we're stuck in our heads, have to go through our bodies to feel. So for male, the humanity of men, having sex, besides the biology of pressure, right, and relieving that need, this is when men get emotional. So men get to their feelings through their bodies with sex. Women have to feel the feelings first, before to have sex. Men get to their feelings through their bodies with sex. So there's two layers why we always want sex. You see it?
It seems like a cruel device of nature to make it
Nature,
so they have to orgasm first and then feel
it's
warm
yep,
and fuzzy.
yeah. Everything in nature is like this. Everything is exact opposite for men and women. It's a cosmic joke.
Mm,
Everything, you know, like she needs to feel connected to have sex. He needs to have sex to connect. You know what I mean? After the fact, she wants to talk because she's full of energy and happy. He wants to fall asleep. Like everything in every way is like in all levels. I could talk to you about like everything that we do is an opposition, and that's the point. That's how we're complementary.
uh,
It's not one better than the other. It's not one in front of the other. Is we come together to create something new together.
mhm.
Something beautiful and cosmic and godly about this, really,
There is.
right? So you have to see the value, and like each has a role. And people hate that, stereotypes are bullshit. No, you know what? The stereotypes exist because they exist.
Mm.
Because there is such a thing as stereotypes. There's women things and men things, and it's essential for the polarity of us coming together. And this is how we actually complement and complete each other on some level. Everything that I do naturally, my wife doesn't. I'm a man. Everything that she finds interesting, not so much for me. But turns around, what she finds exciting, little boxes in every corner of my house and pillows, not so much. You know what I mean? Give me some tools and motor oil. Right. So it's we're not the same, but we're complementary. She brings to the table something that I don't have naturally, and vice versa. It's beautiful.
You said that women have to feel safe to be vulnerable, and I think that's a big problem too, especially if they are fully in the masculine
Yep.
and they like feel like they can't depend on their husband or
Mhm.
something. Do you think then that's when their husband is more fully in the masculine, he is safe, or is that something he needs to
Absolutely.
cultivate? Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, sometimes the thing about, let's go there, right? But when a man is masculine, they're hard to deal with. Masculine men, because they
Yes.
literally they don't apologize for who they are. They are who they are. They have their value system. They know who you know, you say yes or no. There's not a whole lot of maybes, right? They're just binary. We're not doing this. Sure, let's go. I'm not asking again. Let's go, right? They're controlling as hell, testosterone. So a lot of women have a hard time with masculine men because you feel they're too big, they're too loud, they'll run you over, right? You'll try to explain something. You don't want to come. Fine.
Mhm.
What if so? Natural males are big, right? It's
Mm.
called like if you're familiar with horses, the stallions are big and dangerous.
Yeah.
But those are the ones who make the babies, right? Those are the ones who the power, the strength, their bodies is insane. They're talking about testosterone. They're dangerous to everybody. They go through walls when they get
Right.
smell female in heat.
Yeah.
1,100 pounds, 1,200 pounds of meat, just right. So so what we do, we gild them, right? We cut their balls, and then they become softer and gentle in little bodies like women. Interesting, right? So my point is, masculine men are very, very big, and often are very uncomfortable to be around for women. However, there's a language to have them adjust their bigness, right? I call them speaking Manglish. This is a respectful language that I teach women
Ah.
to negotiate him off the rafters. Babe, you're scaring the children right now. Like, how do you bring him down for the rafter? How do you bring him down for like, whatever, or running you over and kind of right? Because ultimately, that's the adjustment that's needed with these guys because they do everything right. They provide, they protect, they give, they make money, they push, they don't cry, they take responsibility for everything. Even then they'll fix something that's not theirs to fix, just to fix it. That's men, you know what I mean? But they're hard to be around. They're big. So when you know how to approach them and ask for correction, a man who loves you will adjust, by the way. Absolutely. I do it all the time. Teach women how to speak to him respectfully so that instead of going, what the fuck are you talking about? He goes, what? Well, babe, when you do this, this is what happens to me. And it really makes me feel uncomfortable. Could you? Well, I know you're amazing, but when you do this, this is what happens to me. And I'm uncomfortable. Could you? Okay. Like, he'll adjust if he loves you. If he doesn't adjust, now he's a narcissist, you have a different problem.
Mm.
But natural males want to please, provide, protect, give, and are proud of it. And they don't apologize for their bigness. So,
I love it.
right?
Okay.
So,
I have one final question for you.
yeah, and they
Oh,
make
sorry.
women feel, and say in that they make women feel safe because she knows that he got it. She knows he's going to defend. She knows he's going to fight.
Yes.
She knows he's going to protect her at all costs. And ultimately, that makes you feel like a girl. So sorry, I had to
Yes.
finish.
No, no, that's good to know. Um, that just reminds me, my husband is big on protection. It's a big thing for him.
Mhm.
And he has lots of guns. And I always
That's a
think,
man.
would you actually wake up if you hear a noise? Because I feel like I would wake up before you if I heard a noise, but I guess I
Right.
can slap you awake and let you
And,
go.
and, and that's factual, by the way, right? A woman never goes to sleep 100%. There's 10% of you that's always awake. Mommy here, what's that noise, right? Because you're weaker and safer. Like that's again human nature. This is your bodies. This is cave woman.
Yeah.
Always sleep with the ear open in case somebody's creeping up in the woods, right? Like, so we go cold dead. So you'll go, babe, there's a noise in the kitchen. Jump
I
out of
gotta
bed.
jump up. Okay. That's good to know. Yeah, we're like a dolphin. We keep half our brain on all
You
night,
do?
I
No,
think.
no, no, seriously. And you're absolutely women,
Yeah,
and women are built that way for protection for survival. It's all survival.
that's very cool.
It's all survival.
So what I was gonna ask you is what keeps a man committed? Is it just this energy keeping that dynamic, or is there something else that women need to be aware of that keeps him, or is this more for dating? Like, but in the marriage, like what keeps him committed to her instead of, looking outside?
Oh, that's a big one. I don't know if I
Ugh.
want to give it away because it's hard to explain a little bit. It's not hard to explain, but it's like, something I discovered through my work and with the masters that I work with, and the avalanche of research and study that we all
Mhm.
did. But one of this, I'm the only one who teaches it this way that I know of so far, that both men and women have two different, what I call it, self-doubt, two different self-doubt. And this is one of the big reasons why we collide and fall apart or don't misunderstand each other, because my self-doubt is completely different than your self-doubt. And yours
Mm,
is so present that you can't imagine that I can't see it or feel it or know about it, because it's basically who you are. You know what I mean? And so is mine, but we're not aware of it. We're not aware how present it is, how it's like we're never without each of them on both sides, but we also have no idea what it is.
mm,
So that trigger here is, for a woman, I'll give you the woman side because it's easier to explain maybe a little bit. But for a woman, basically, the self doubt is, am I lovable? Am I really lovable?
mm.
Can somebody, a man, my husband, can he really love me in this body with all my flaws? Because you're aware of all your flaws. We don't see any of that, but you are, right? With all my flaws in this body, with who I am inside, am I really lovable? Can somebody love me forever? No, that's what you're thinking, right? And so what happens the moment we do something a little bit off, forget to call you when I said I was going to call you, or forget to buy you something for your birthday, like every time you're hypersensitive to, see, see, if you love me, if you love me,
Mhm.
you would, right? So every little fucking thing that you experience that's hurting your feelings is showing you that you're not lovable. It's your heart cry. You're never without it, from little girl forward.
Unless you do the work. My
Unless you
clients
do
do
the
the work.
work, but even then, it's still there. It's present. If you
Yeah,
get to be aware of that, then you can negotiate with yourself within it. But most people aren't even aware. That's where they start from. They
right.
don't know why they're so sensitive. Why you take everything personally? Why, you can't criticize or say, babe, when you do this makes you crazy. She's crying. And he's like, I can't fucking tell you anything. Why? I'm trying to help you. I can't tell you anything. You're like, you now feel like shit
Mm,
because you're crying. And now I'm the enemy because I'm trying to help you, right? Like, why are you so fucking sensitive, right? Because criticism feels like you don't like me and you want to change me and I'm not good enough. And there it is again,
yeah.
my self doubt.
Mm,
You understand? So a man's self doubt is completely opposite of that. And so not understanding that makes women destroy their man, their husband, their long term relationship. Like the same way, if I keep hurting my wife's feelings, eventually she'll take it for what, 10, 15 years? And she'll start believing I'm a big douchebag and she's better off without me because I'm always hurting her feelings. I
right.
don't want to hurt her feelings. I don't mean to hurt her feelings. I'm not wired like her, so I don't understand that self doubt thing. Women do this to us all the time.
Really. I
So what
believe
you do to us all the time, I'll just give you one word about the mechanics of it because it's deep and profound and must be learned and investigated if you want to succeed in men long term. The same way we hurt your feelings all the time, not knowing how, why, because we don't know. To you, it's like, he knows better. You should know me. No, he's not a girl. There's no sense of that. He's just being himself. He's just talking. He's just saying. He's just trying to help. Hurt, 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 hurt. The same way we hurt your feelings all the time. Are you ready for it?
Mhm.
You ladies not knowing, it's not your fault, but constantly, 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 constantly disrespecting us.
Yeah.
Sometimes on purpose. The culture is really good at it right now. But one on one, not knowing, what disrespect sounds like, looks like, feels like. You do it to us all the fucking time. The same way we hurt your feelings. So there's no winning. There's nobody's misbehaving, right? It's just not knowing. And this is how you destroy a relationship with a man. After a while, what the fuck is what he thinks? I can't
Mhm.
win. I can't do everything right. Right? I can't. I'm out of here. If you
Okay.
understand how that works and feed the beast as opposed to kill the beast, he's never going anywhere. You're the only woman in the world who gets him, understands him, supports him,
Hmm.
alleviates the self-doubt. Done. You have no competition. There's no other chick in the world. So
I
you just,
wish we had more time because
I
I
know.
hear that a lot from my clients, and I'd love to dive into what really that means. But
Mm,
tell them where they can go find you and learn more about this. And I also love the idea that you have a men's group. That's fantastic.
yeah, that's essential. These guys are confused, right? They haven't been taught right, and they're in pain, and they know they're in trouble, and they're desperate.
Mm.
So like I've done men's work since God 15 years now. So I was part of a mentoring. I was mentored by men, and now I'm mentoring men uh, in my own group for that
Wonderful.
reason, and it saved my life. Understand? Like you don't. It's unbelievable. Anyway, so but I
Mm.
have a gift for you listeners, if you don't mind.
Okay, sure, please.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
So if anybody resonated with what I'm saying, again, I teach nature and science. It's not my opinion. I have opinions, but this is not where it comes from. It's not me teaching you what I think is right. It's nature and science. If anybody resonated, um, if you go to andregroupcoaching.com, andregroupcoaching.com, it's a landing page that my team and I created. It takes you to my calendar. And if you pick whether a man or a woman, there's a VIP 1 hour exploratory call call. Click on the calendar, find a spot that's open, and there's a short questionnaire. And what I will do is I'll basically have a one-on-one conversation like you and I are having right now with somebody who's brave. Is apparently it's nerve-wracking to so you have to be brave, but in that call basically we dive into where you're stuck, what's not working. Right, I'm really good at that call. We typically go into childhood and where the injury was that got you too masculine and too feminine as a man because we forget those things, right? So in 15 minutes we're there, and then you come with the realization that there's nothing wrong with you. You're just a product of your past. Wow, that alone is liberating. It changed people's lives
Right.
just to understand that piece. And then from there, like, so now we know what happened. There's nothing wrong with you. We have to undo that, get you back, So from here, what's the dream? What's the dream? Do you want marriage and kids? Do you want just companionship long term? You know what I mean? What's the dream? And then I tell them basically different ways that we could work together: small, medium, large, extra large, whatever. So it's
Very cool.
the people say that call have changed their lives. Just that understanding of what's wrong with me. Take that off, man. So that's what I'm offering again. AndreGroupCoaching.com. Everything else, I think you'll be putting a link to my,
Yeah, absolutely. I will.
my website. You could email me. Um, Email me. It'll be on the thing. Andre Coaching1 at Gmail. And I can send you some material. You can go to my website, projectequinox.net. You can spend the day on there. There's many articles. So if you want to dig it a little bit. Um, so yeah,
Very cool.
that's how you get to me.
Very awesome. Thank you so much for your time today
Absolutely.
and for sharing all your knowledge and expertise. I loved it.
Mhm.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you. It's my life. It's really fun, and
Awesome.
it's fun to people. I don't know if you know this, but I also officiate weddings.
Oh,
So
really?
like I've done right before COVID, I did 4 of my clients. I have 2 that just got engaged. I'm going to Texas in next March to marry one of my clients and her new man.
Oh.
One just got married and is pregnant. I couldn't make that one. It was in Delaware. It was too far.
Mm.
Circumstances midweek. Anyway, and then Texas, Vegas next March as well. So
Nice.
that's this
Well,
for me, right? The work that I do is it's fun and it changes people's life, but to marry them at the end, I don't know
mm,
if you can imagine what that feels like. It's unbelievable.
no. I'd love
So
to renew vows or something with my clients because they're always on the brink of divorce, and it's fun to watch them come back from it.
yeah, right. And
Yeah.
it's satisfying.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So thank you for the work that you do as well, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you. All
Absolutely. Absolutely.
right.